The CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, recently they felt a lot just like full-blown propaganda, but it seems with this report, they're turning a new leaf and starting to just sound like an authoritarian mouthpiece. I'm a Canadian. My name's Greg. Let's watch this video investigating police leaks during the truck convoy protests. This was released just this week.
Earlier this year, all eyes were on Ottawa. For 3 freezing weeks this winter, the national capital was occupied by hundreds of trucks, cars, tents, and protesters, all here in opposition to vaccine mandates, vaccines themselves, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government.
Wow. They actually got the reasons right there. They didn't make up any nonsense about wanting to overthrow the government. No, yeah, we were protesting mandates. They finally got it right. Maybe they have to say that now because of the inquiry. I don't know. At least they got that right, though. That's new.
As the city laid under occupation for all those weeks, people across the country were asking, where are the cops?
They were everywhere. If you were down there, there were. There were cops everywhere. They were all over the place. I'm not sure if you knew this, CBC, but they had cops from London, Ontario. They had cops from, they had cops from all over Ontario, if I'm not mistaken. Montreal as well. There was a lot of cops. There was a lot of cops there. Where the hell are the cops? Defund the police, by the way.
Turns out one of the critical problems facing the Ottawa Police Service and law enforcement more broadly came from within the police themselves. Law enforcement and national security sources who spoke to the National say there was a persistent problem of leaks of operational information from police to the protesters.
Interesting. The leaks were a persistent problem. So there wasn't just one person leaking information. There was more than one cop or police officer leaking information. So they clearly had some sort of sympathy for the truck convoy protests. And if you look at the sea of people opposing mandates, many of which have been taken away, not all of them, but many of which have been taken away, and I believe the majority of the country didn't like at the time. Yeah, you could imagine cops having sympathy for these people. It's not that far-fetched. But, thank you for the all this creepy music, because what's so scary? A police officer is deciding to have sympathy for this peaceful protest. Oh my God. Oh my God. The tyrants of this country are panicking.
These problems have been laid bare in recent weeks at the Public Order Emergency Commission held here in Ottawa. At the commission, we've heard from lawyer Keith Wilson, who represented some of the organizers of the convoy that headed to Ottawa. He said they got advance notice about some of the police operations before they even happened.
There was numerous times where information would come into the operations center from various police sources that a raid was imminent, and it happened many times.
My sources say these leaks were so troubling because they may have actually jeopardized operations to seize fuel that was being passed around downtown and to clear out supply depots that kept the occupation going. Now, Ottawa Police said...
I love how they're, oh my God, we weren't able to starve the protesters of fuel and resources. Damn. They're like so many times throughout this convoy, our public officials, the news media, they're just doing backflips to avoid the conversation. They're systematically trying to stop. They're raiding our supply centers at the protests. They're doing so much. We saw during the inquiry. They're texting each other. Hey, what are we going to do about these? All of this effort to avoid the conversation. So much effort to avoid just talking to this massive protest. And it still continues today with this 5-head clown.
They didn't have to cancel any operations because of any operational leaks, but never.
Oh, so you were super concerned about the leaks. Oh, well, I didn't actually change anything. Okay, so that concern wasn't okay.
Nevertheless, there was an anxiety inside the Ottawa Police Service that their fellow members who may be sympathetic to the occupation may have been the ones passing on information.
Did you hear that? Did you hear how intense this music is?
Passing on information. to the occupation inside the Ottawa Police Service, that their fellow members who may be sympathetic to the occupation may have been the ones passing on information.
Like, guys, what is the implication of this? Bum, 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 bum. There's police officers among us who dare to have sympathy for these filthy protesters. Can you believe this? Like, the implication is gross, CBC. You're essentially saying any police officer who is sympathizing with a protest is this horrible villain. Peaceful protests, by the way. Free food, by the way. Like, you know, feeding the homeless, bouncing castles. How dare these people have sympathy? How dare these police not fall in line and beat them? Like, this is the CBC. This is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. This is your tax dollars paying for this messaging. Oh, man.
There was some concern that possibly potential plan to clear Rideau Sussex might have been leaked. Is that right?
There were some concerns about information flowing out of the organization, yes. There was one member that I was aware of, and we shut down his access to his corporate accounts. But I don't know what came of that investigation. And just at the time, as a precaution, we shut down. He wasn't currently working. He was on leave of absence.
The Ottawa Police.
Wow, guys. This is Canada now, where we casually, we shut down his accounts. We just, we like shut down his accounts or whatever. Just casually talking about that. Like, that's just something you do. You just shut down the person's accounts if they do something you don't like. Signs that you might live in an authoritarian country. You're casually just talking about shutting down accounts and nobody bats an eye. And I'm sure this CBC guy is not going to say jack shit about it.
Service have confirmed to me they've opened multiple investigations into these leaks. While they have launched disciplinary action against officers who donated to the convoy, they've not yet laid any charges based on those leaks. Ottawa Police have confirmed they have another investigation.
Yeah, and like, really, man? Really, guys? Really? With these mandates gone now, some of them, you know, these police officers support ending the mandates, so they supported these protests monetarily. Like, why is that so illegitimate? Why is that like framed as the most horrible thing? Oh yeah, because you're an authoritarian mouthpiece, CBC. You're here to discipline any police officer who does not fall in line. So awful, man. This country sucks.
Investigation ongoing, investigating claims made at the commission. A couple of weeks ago, Deputy Chief Steve Bell confirmed that some of that information has led to an ongoing investigation.
The information that was presented yesterday at the Emergency Act inquiry was net new information to us that we had not yet investigated. And we've already, as of last night, have initiated an internal investigation.
Later on, as the federal government was preparing to invoke the Emergencies Act and end the occupation for good, there were more leaks. This time from the RCMP to Jeremy Mackenzie, the leader of the Diagolon movement, a far-right organization that has talked openly about killing public officials.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. They've changed their definition. It's a far-right organization. Before, you guys were calling it a militia, a neo-Nazi militia who believed in accelerationism and wanted to incite a race war. It looks like you guys walked that back. You walked it back a little bit, eh? Now it's just a far-right organization, and you're obviously taking jokes out of context to imply that they have violent intentions. But you're still on the Diagolon thing, but you've kind of walked back what this organization does. A fantastic photo of Jeremy. That's what you do in the face of an authoritarian. You look down on them like that.
I've got some bad news from some sources inside the police infrastructure. Riot cops are being assembled and bussed into the area. They're planning on mass arrests.
Just a week.
Does that sound like does Jeremy sound like he has nefarious intentions, or does it sound like he's just warning people of mass arrests? Like, it's so funny that any clip you spin of Jeremy here, like it doesn't fit the narrative at all. Maybe I'm biased because I know him, but can you imagine being some CBC person who's like watching this and believing every word of it? They're out there. It's scary.
Later later, police disrupted what they say was a plot to murder RCMP officers and civilians in Coutts, Alberta.
Yeah, that's an important detail, right? That the police, they say it was a plot to kill police officers and civilians. Still looking for the receipts on that one. Been talking to some people out there, and it sounds pretty crazy in terms of the the lack of details that they have in regards to this plot to kill RCMP officers and civilians. But anyway.
The members arrested have ties to the Diagolon movement. Police also seized more than a dozen long gun handguns and a whole bunch of ammunition and high-capacity magazines. At the same time, Mackenzie was in Ottawa. So was Alex Vriend, a fellow member of Diagolon, who on his social media channels was posting what he said were communications from the Ottawa Police Service letting him know about future operations.
I mean, you got to ask yourself, why do these police officers trust these gentlemen? Why do they trust Jeremy Mackenzie? Why do they trust Alex Vriend? Is it because they're part of a militia and they want to incite a race war? Or are they just regular people that they trust? They're just regular people who care about the country, and they have a platform because they're charming and funny and charismatic individuals, right? It's like you have sympathy for the protest. Your bro Jeremy or your bro Alex, and it's like, hey man, look at this information. Maybe you should broadcast it so let the people know. It's so crazy that they're trying to vilify basically police officers who actually have a heart still. They actually have a conscience of some kind, and they want to do the right thing. They want to end mandates just like everybody else. And it's so funny how this nerd is trying to continually just vilify, just kind of like more and more lies, more and more unsubstantiated claims. Yeah.
Mackenzie testified that it was an RCMP officer who had reached out directly to offer him this information. After the Emergencies Act was invoked, that RCMP officer provided him something else.
This person had sent me, there were screenshots, I guess, of either a WhatsApp group chat or a Telegram, and I said, I will publish this. And they said, that's why we sent it to you. So I did. I released that on Telegram, and that went out.
Those group.
So this is a good point to emphasize. Jeremy Mackenzie was the person who leaked these group chats from RCMP officers who were basically celebrating the violence against peaceful protesters. That was Jeremy Mackenzie. Funnily enough, after he posted these leaks, Rebel News took those images and put a fat Rebel News watermark on it and started to post about it. So almost like they were trying to take the credit. But it was actually Jeremy Mackenzie, the boogeyman, the scary boogeyman. Jeremy Mackenzie was the person that this RCMP officer trusted enough with this information. If you actually look at the information that CBC is talking about objectively, it kind of makes Jeremy look like the person who the police trusted and have sympathy for. And again, because there's no evidence of him being a scary boogeyman terrorist, it's yeah, well, here, hold this L, CBC. Jeremy's out, by the way. Jeremy's out. He's free. He's free on bail right now from Saskatchewan. But I do want to show you some of these text messages that got leaked. Oh my God, look at this. Time. Oh, let's switch it so you can see it. Time for the protesters to hear our jackboots on the ground. Whoa, Nixon. This is a kinder, gentler RCMP. And then Andrew says, okay, we can give out free hugs and unicorns, he says sarcastically or ironically. Cheers, crew. Here's to some sweet overtime this weekend for our own on-call members. Don't kick all of them out until next week's group gets our turn. So they're talking about making money being there. I guess that's not that bad. But let's continue. This is the clip of a police horse trampling a woman and trampling a man. We all have seen that police horse clip. Wow, that's awesome. This is an RCMP officer. That's awesome. We only think we're living the dream. That's what we need to do. And then continues, just watch that horse video. That's awesome. We should practice that maneuver. Agreed. Why the hell isn't CBC going to talk about this? The fact that these RCMP officers are celebrating violence against peaceful protesters. That wasn't a priority for you, CBC, because you're an authoritarian mouthpiece. You're a mouthpiece for an authoritarian state. You're not just propaganda anymore. You're essentially implicitly endorsing violence and wanting to discipline and vilify any police officer who does not obey King Almighty Trudeau. This is disgusting. Let's get through this. Let's finish this.
Chats show RCMP officers in downtown Ottawa getting ready to deploy in that major operation that reclaimed the capital. They included the names, faces, and phone numbers of those RCMP officers.
So I'm just waiting to chat with Christian Luprecht. He is an expert on all things security, intelligence, and policing. I'm keen to get a sense of exactly what these leaks mean for the Ottawa Police Service and the RCMP.
What do they mean? What do they mean? Did you see the leaks where they celebrate stomping on a woman with a police horse? Did you see that part, CBC? You sifted through all the information. You have all the information, but you're not going to focus on that, are you? It's so dishonest, guys. It's so dishonest. They're such deceivers. These people are evil. These people are evil. And I want to emphasize, why do you think the RCMP officer who leaked this information, they could have leaked anything. They could have leaked any part of the conversation they wanted, but they focused on the part where the police officers are celebrating trampling on police horses. Like, that's one of the things that they decided, maybe this is a part that the public should see. But CBC doesn't think so, right? So, believable.
And why they keep happening.
Tactically, of course, it gives the protesters a significant leg up in terms of anticipating police tactics, police posture, police resourcing. We need to find the individuals that...
I'm sorry, what? Can we play that again? Let's play that back. This is the concerns. Of these leaks.
Ottawa Police Service and the RCMP, and why they keep happening.
Tactically, of course, it gives the protesters a significant leg up in terms of anticipating police tactics, police posture, police resourcing. We need to find the...
Oh my God. Yeah, okay. So this tweet right here, this is going to help the protesters understand police posture, the tactics. What is the police planning, protesters? Let's see. They're drinking a beer, talking about working overtime. Yeah, that's really going to help us protesters figure it out, right? That's really going to help us protesters, undermine the police operations. It's so dishonest. I don't know where they got this guy, but it's so funny, because if that were the case, if there were leaked messages from this group chat that showed, hey guys, these are the tactics we're using tomorrow, then show the leak, show that screenshot to substantiate what this man is saying. But they can't. And it's quite the opposite. They're just showing RCMP officers who are celebrating violence. This entire video from CBC, this whole report is so dishonest that I can't believe that my taxes go towards this. Brother.
Individuals that leaked intelligence, and we need to make sure that they are prosecuted, because you couldn't think of a more fundamental breach of trust by a public officer and an officer that is sworn to keep the peace. At the same time, we need to ask the broader questions about what would cause an individual to share or leak that type of intelligence.
Having a conscience. I have an answer to that question. What would cause someone to leak that information? Having a conscience, having a connection with your heart, having a sort of, moral backbone. They're there to keep the peace. Yeah, they're there to keep the peace. So why are these RCMP officers in this group chat celebrating stomping on a woman stomping on a woman with a police horse? They're there to keep the peace, right? This is, unfortunately, this isn't really that surprising coming from CBC. As I mentioned, they've been full-blown propaganda for now, but this report is disturbing. I think it is them turning a new leaf They're casually talking about shutting down accounts if a police officer dares step out of line. And it's scary. It's scary to me because CBC is now sounding like an authoritarian mouthpiece. And the scariest part is people listen to this stuff and they don't even question it. They listen to this stuff and they don't even question it. But anyway, I just wanted to react to this garbage video from this garbage waste of Canadian taxpayer dollars, the Canadian Broadcasting Brainwashing Corporation. But anyway, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.